I've always listened to my elder brother since I was a child, but I secretly dated his sworn enemy for 3 years. Aubrey is well known in the circle for being unruly and rebellious. Yet he was infatuated with me alone, though he always refused to make our relationship public. When a friend asked him why, he laughed playfully and said, "Because I don't love Michelle. I'm with her just to take revenge on her brother and avenge my sister. So on her birthday, I'll dump her harshly and make them brother and sister the laughingstock." So on that highly anticipated birthday party, I didn't show up. Instead, I went to City H for an arranged marriage. On my wedding day, Aubrey came all the way to try to stop the wedding, but he was blocked outside the door. He pleaded with the security guards to let him in, saying that he was the bride's boyfriend. But no matter how much he searched through his phone, he couldn't find any evidence that we had been together. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Just to avenge your sister. Aubrey exhaled a puff of smoke, his eyes sinister. She felt humiliated after being rejected, left for abroad heartbroken, and even refused my confession. Isn't that enough? The friend exclaimed in surprise. Aubrey, are you crazy? How can you like your sister? We're not related by blood. Surrounded by the swirling smoke, Aubrey's expression became blurred. Why can't I like her? But what's Michelle's fault? It was her brother who rejected your sister. What does that have to do with her? You can't take your anger out on her. Moreover, you chased her for 2 years. In these 3 years of being together, you doted on her and loved her. Your relationship was so good. I thought you were going to propose on her birthday. There was a moment of silence. When the cigarette was almost burned out, Aubrey put it out and sneered. If I didn't act like I really loved her, how could I make her fall deeply in love? Only by falling into the abyss when she's at her happiest will she be in great pain. She should feel the same pain as my sister did. I bit my trembling lips tightly, and my eyes were so sore that tears were about to fall. The friend frowned, looking a bit regretful. Are you really going to do this? Won't you regret it? Aubrey picked up the wine glass and said in a cold voice, I will never regret it. I lowered my eyes, and a petal drifted down, falling to the ground together with a tear. No wonder he didn't want to make our relationship public in these 3 years. It turned out that he had someone else in his heart. What I thought was a mutual affection, it was just a carefully designed hoax by him. At this moment, I didn't even have the desire to go upstairs and confront him. Confrontation, argument, entanglement. Making him feel my pain is exactly what he wants, isn't it? I turned around and left, leaving the gift I was going to give him where it was. When I got home, I met my brother who had just returned from a business trip in City H. Why are your eyes so red? He asked with concern. I lowered my head and wiped them. The wind outside is strong. On the sofa in the living room, he said, I know you're going to City H to pursue a doctorate. So, do you want to consider the Fabian family in City H again? Fabian is a nice guy, selected by your dear brother. You can rest assured. He had mentioned the arranged marriage to me several times before. I had always refused. Because of Aubrey. Because I wanted to have a free love. To marry someone I loved. But now I don't dare to think like that anymore. Perhaps knowing each other well gives more a sense of security. Even without love. At least there won't be deception and hurt. I can have more time to continue my studies. My parents will also be at ease. I figured it out. Brother, I agree to the arranged marriage. Really? My brother's tone was excited. Then I'll tell the Fabian family right away. When I got back to my room, I packed all the gifts that Aubrey had given me over the years. When I was about to throw them into the utility room, my brother knocked on the door. Next Friday, we're going to City H. That day happened to be Aubrey's birthday. The next day, I was at home organizing the materials I was going to take with me. Busy until the afternoon. Aubrey called and asked if he should pick me up to go out and have fun. It was very noisy on his side, and there was the sound of electronic announcements. He was probably at the airport. When he heard my refusal, he seemed to let out a sigh of relief. Then stay at home and have a good meal. Don't go on a diet. You hear me? Such concern. Acting so realistically. Later, my brother's friend sent me a message asking me to pick him up. My car was being serviced, so I drove my brother's car. I found the location according to the house number and gently pushed the door open. But I saw Aubrey hugging a girl intimately and playing the game of tearing paper with their mouths. His hands were on her waist, and a smile spread across his lips. Unrestrained and dissolute. There were cheers all around. Kiss. Kiss. Aubrey took the paper away and frowned slightly. The girl leaned forward, and when their lips were almost touching, he turned his head slightly and our eyes met. All eyes turned to me. A trace of panic flashed in his eyes. I lowered my eyes. Sorry. I think I got the wrong room. I closed the door for them. Just a few steps out, I was dragged into an empty private room by Aubrey. In the dim light, he encircled me and pinched my chin. Jealous. I shook my head. It's not what you think. That's my sister. We have nothing going on. It's just a game. Be good. Give your husband a kiss. He smiled and leaned down. When his kiss was about to land, I dodged. I broke free from his embrace and looked away. My brother is waiting for me. The door was pushed open by the girl first. She covered her mouth in surprise. Aubrey. You too. That was his sister by adoption. Sabrina. Aubrey's gaze rested on me for a few seconds. Then he walked over to her side and explained. I drank too much and got the wrong room. I'm not familiar with this lady. Sabrina smiled and took his arm. Everyone is waiting for you. I didn't say anything and didn't look at Aubrey either. I just raised my foot and walked out. As we passed by each other, he instinctively reached out to hold my hand. But he stopped in midair and clenched his fist. In the car, my drunk brother became very talkative. He talked about our childhood and then about my going to City H for postgraduate study 5 years ago. I'm sorry, Michelle. I shouldn't have opposed you back then. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gone so far away and ignored everyone. At that time, my brother insisted that I study business so that I could help him manage the family business in the future. I wasn't interested and continued doing experiments instead. In a place where I knew no one. In a strange environment, Aubrey appeared. He understood me, knew me, and supported me. I wanted to take that step towards him, but then I remembered that he and my brother had become sworn enemies because of a project. So I politely refused him, but he kept chasing me for 2 years. Even when I had a cold attitude, he always greeted me with a smile. Michelle, you deserve this love. You don't have to feel sorry for me. The one who falls in love first has to give more. I'm willing to do all this. Later, he risked his life to save me, which made me firmly hold his hand. At that time, he said, for you, I'm not afraid of death. Now he said, if I didn't act like I really loved her, how could I make her fall deeply in love? My heart tightened. In a moment of distraction, the car drove onto the flower bed. Fortunately, it was our own flower bed, and no one was hurt. My brother hit his head and had a bruise. He said earnestly, you'd better not drive before you leave. I lowered my head like a quail. Sorry, brother. I'll get it fixed for you. I drove the car to the shop, thinking of it as an apology. I thought I might as well buy a new car for him. As soon as I walked into the hall, I heard Sabrina's voice. It doesn't matter. I can still test drive even in high heels. She was sitting on the sofa. Aubrey squatted beside her, holding her ankle and carefully helping to untie the shoelace. It was as if he was treating a precious treasure. His tone was one of uncompromising concern. No. What if you sprain or hurt yourself? After taking off her high heels, he put on her flat shoes for her. I brought them for you when we went out. Although Sabrina mumbled, the smile on her lips couldn't be hidden. Aubrey, you're really my good brother. Aubrey was stunned for a moment and frowned slightly. I smiled faintly in my heart. He doesn't want to be your good brother at all. You're so nice. Being your girlfriend must be very happy. Sabrina stood up, holding his shoulder. Aubrey was still squatting, lost in thought. Then he took out his phone. The next second, my phone dinged. It was a message from him. Baby, I have a race tomorrow. Come, and I'll give you a surprise. When I arrived at the race venue, the race was about to start. Aubrey had someone arrange for me to sit with Sabrina. On the racetrack, he was wearing a black biker suit, with a tall and slender figure and smooth muscle lines. He was the most dazzling presence. I withdrew my gaze, and a pair of hands reached out in front of me. What a coincidence. We meet again. I'm Sabrina, Aubrey's elder sister. I lowered my head and looked at her hand. The tattoo on her wrist looked very familiar. Hello, Michelle. She smiled faintly, with a hint of meaning in her smile. These days, I had inquired about her. She was the adopted daughter of Aubrey's family, 2 years older than Aubrey. When their parents were busy, they spent a lot of time together. and it was normal for them to develop feelings. But she went abroad after graduating from senior high school and had just come back recently. That day, it was Aubrey who went to pick her up. He had waited for the person he liked to come back, and I was also ready to start a new life. So handsome. The screams pulled me back from my thoughts. After crossing the finish line, Aubrey took off his helmet, put his index finger and middle finger against his lips, and blew a kiss into the air. Sabrina laughed. So childish. It seemed that the kiss was meant for her from a distance. Holding up the trophy, he looked towards the direction where Sabrina and I were sitting across the crowd. The corners of his mouth raised. I love this summer, just as I love her. The scene erupted with excitement, but I was shocked and looked down at the tattoo on Sabrina's wrist. It was exactly the same as Aubrey's. I accompanied him to get that tattoo on the second day after he became my boyfriend. At that time, he rubbed my hand and acted coquettishly. I'm so afraid of the pain. Will you stay by my side? I pointed at the pattern he had chosen and asked, what does it mean? Love you forever. He put his arm around my waist, made me sit on his lap, opened his collar, and raised his eyebrows. If I get it tattooed on my collarbone, you can see it every time you kiss me when you lower your head. No, no. My face turned red, and I quickly refused. Aubrey smiled. Then how about getting it on the wrist? I looked at the pattern carefully. It didn't look like English. He paused for a moment, his eyes shifting elsewhere. Well, it's French. France. That was where Sabrina studied abroad. I opened my phone, found the photos of today's race, and uploaded the string of letters to an image recognition app. Liar. That string of French words didn't mean, love you forever, at all. It meant, no one is like you. I closed my eyes, and my heart was filled with a chill. At this moment, Sabrina said, he really kept his promise to win the trophy for me as a gift for my return. Backstage, while they were making a ruckus, I secretly looked at the base of the trophy. The 4 big words, exclusive to Sabrina, stabbed my eyes brightly. It turned out that this grand confession was prepared by Aubrey for her. But in the name of giving me a surprise, I smiled silently and slowly left the lively scene. There were still 3 days before I left. Aubrey was busy trying to please Sabrina and hardly contacted me. I also never took the initiative to find him again. My brother saw that I had packed all my things and wanted me to be happy before I left. So he took me and his friends to watch the meteor shower. There were telescopes on the rooftop of the hotel, and we could see the path of the Milky Way. As soon as I went up, I saw Sabrina and Aubrey. He was holding her from behind without actually touching her, and the two of them were looking at the starry sky together with the telescope. My brother called me from behind. Michelle, come and play a few rounds of cards with me. As soon as he finished speaking, Aubrey suddenly turned around. I didn't look at his expression and slowly walked down the steps. I was even surprised by how calm I felt in my heart. My phone kept vibrating. It was probably Aubrey. I ignored it and continued playing cards. Everyone had watched me grow up, so they took extra care of me and chatted with me from time to time. My brother came back after answering a phone call and replaced me. A big brother casually asked, is Michelle really leaving? My brother nodded. You know, I'm really going to miss her. As soon as he finished speaking, there seemed to be the sound of a cup breaking outside. When I walked out of the room, Aubrey was standing at the door. He grabbed me without a word, went downstairs all the way, and walked into the depths of the woods. He didn't let go of my hand until there was no one around. Leaving. His voice was cold, and his face was terribly bad. Where are you going? Not wanting to cause any trouble before I left, I perfunctorily said, I've applied for a doctorate and will go to City H to continue my studies. The hand he had clenched slowly relaxed, and he seemed relieved. I thought, never mind. That's good then. I didn't pay attention to his unpredictable mood and turned around to say, I'm going back to my brother. But he blocked my way and took my hand, leading me forward. After walking through the woods, the view suddenly opened up. The open ground was decorated with star-shaped lights, which were twinkling, and in the middle, they were arranged to form the initials of my name. I was going to bring you here tomorrow, he said. Is it beautiful? I quietly looked around. The arrangement was indeed romantic, but I knew that this romance must not have been originally prepared for me. Aubrey took out paper and a pen from his bag. This is a time capsule. You can write down your expectations for the future. We'll bury the capsule underground, and after 3 to 5 years, We'll dig it out to see if our wishes have come true. I took the paper and pen and thought for a while. Aubrey had his back to me and wrote carefully stroke by stroke. When he turned around, I had already stuffed the note into the capsule. So fast. His beautiful almond-shaped eyes stared at me affectionately. What did you write? You'll know when the time comes. He didn't ask any more questions. He wrapped his arms around my waist and said in a low voice, "Why don't you ask me what I wrote? What did you write?" He kissed my lips and smiled softly. "It's about you. About us." I covered my mouth, feeling a bit disgusted. Aubrey thought I was touched and asked, "Have you ever thought about our future?" I shook my head. His face suddenly changed. "Don't you want to be with me forever?" I squatted down and used a shovel to bury the time capsule, saying casually, "Who can say for sure what will happen in the future? We've been together for 3 years, and our relationship is so stable. What's there that can't be said clearly?" "Aubrey, don't act so much that you even deceive yourself." After burying the capsule, I stepped on the soil. He suddenly put his arm around my shoulder and pointed to the sky. "Look, the meteor shower is here." I looked up, and shooting stars streaked across the sky, with countless stars twinkling. The starry sky was endless. In the vast universe, how insignificant we are. I remembered a saying, "When the sky is dark enough, the stars will shine brightly." After leaving Aubrey, my sky will light up on its own. I raised the corners of my lips, but at this moment, Aubrey took out his phone and pressed the shutter. On this day, he posted an ambiguous status on Moments. "Reverse the camera and aim it at us who are in love." But there was no picture attached. I didn't expect Sabrina to come to me. She stirred her coffee and didn't look up until after a while. "I know about your relationship with Aubrey." I didn't say anything, knowing that she would continue. The eye contact and body language between lovers can actually be seen at a glance. After a pause, she looked straight at me. "But he never shows your face in his Moments posts. And he doesn't want to make your relationship public. Do you know why?" I clenched my fingers under the table. She smiled faintly. 5 years ago, I told him that I might never learn how to love someone. He was angry and anxious, and finally chose to pursue you. He chased you for 2 years and was about to give up. But he confessed to you again because I told him that I had a boyfriend that day. He was deliberately being stubborn with me. I suddenly remembered that day when I celebrated the New Year's Eve at Victoria Harbor. There were so many people that a stampede almost occurred. It was Aubrey who, regardless of the danger, went against the flow of people and led me out of the crowd. That night, a drunk man was hacking at my door with a knife, and I was so scared that I almost collapsed. And Aubrey happened to be downstairs of my house. He rushed up and drove the man away, and his shoulder was injured as a result. When I was bandaging him, he endured the pain and still comforted me. "It's okay. Don't cry." At that moment, I heard the sound of my heart beating faster. So I agreed to his confession. It turned out that he used the suspension bridge effect to precisely target me and lure me into falling for him. He wasn't downstairs of my house that day because he wanted to protect me. It was because he was sad after hearing the news that Sabrina was with someone else. When the hazy veil was torn apart, the truth was laid bare in front of me. Even though I tried my best to suppress my emotions, my heart still ached. "He's been with you for 3 years just to force me to break up and compromise with him. Michelle. Saying more will only make you more embarrassed." Sabrina took a sip of coffee and showed a confident smile. "We're all smart people. You should know who is the most important person in Aubrey's heart. Instead of waiting to be dumped, it's better for you to take the initiative to step back and save some dignity for yourself." My palm gradually tightened, and the pain spread throughout my body. It was as if something was pounding at my heart, tearing it apart. Finally, it shattered into pieces. I endured the sharp pain and pulled the corners of my lips. "If you were really so sure of Aubrey, you wouldn't have come to me. The person you thought was your possession seems to have gotten out of your control. After pushing him away little by little, you're not willing to just be an adopted daughter. Sabrina, greedy people will end up holding nothing in the end." Her hand shook, and a lot of coffee spilled out. "Are you okay?" Aubrey quickly walked up to her side. He didn't even look at me and just lowered his head to check her hand. "Sis, did you get burned?" I composed my emotions and stood up. Aubrey suddenly grabbed my sleeve, as if instinctively trying to hold me back. Then he remembered our not familiar relationship and quickly let go. Sabrina gently comforted him. "Why are you in such a hurry? I'm not a child anymore." Perhaps Aubrey's concern gave her confidence. After I walked a few steps, she suddenly called out to me, "Michelle, let's talk next time." The moment Aubrey turned his eyes to look at me, she slowly showed me a provocative smile. After coming out of the coffee shop, I turned into the restroom. My stomach was churning, and I felt extremely nauseous. I retched for a long time, but only managed to force out some physiological tears. I leaned against the door, trying my best to piece together my broken heart bit by bit. When I came out, Aubrey was there. He handed me a cup of brown sugar ginger tea and said in a reproachful tone, "You drank iced coffee again. You'll be honest when your stomach hurts." After fastening my seatbelt for me, he pinched my face. "What did you talk about? You look so pale." I looked at him deeply. If he loved Sabrina, why did he have to provoke me? He wove a big, gentle net, carefully planning each step, and locked me in it firmly. He made me indulge in his tenderness and affection, and then he was waiting for an opportunity to trap me and throw me into the deep sea. Then, like a victor, he watched me struggle and fall apart. But what was my fault? It was as if ants were biting me bit by bit. The annoyance in my heart grew bigger and bigger like a snowball. Finally, the pent-up emotions exploded. I turned sideways and squeezed his neck hard, wishing I could strangle him. If he were dead, he wouldn't be able to deceive me anymore. He didn't struggle and just looked at me with red eyes. It was as if he would rather die in my hands than make me sad. Until the veins on his forehead bulged. Until the smell of Sabrina on him filled my nostrils. I suddenly came to my senses and let go of him. The next second, he hugged me tightly, his voice trembling. "Do you feel better? What happened?" He held my face in his hands and gently wiped away the tears. "Don't cry. When I see you cry, my heart aches." I gradually stopped crying and turned my eyes away. "Aubrey, let's not make our relationship public." His expression froze, and panic was written all over his face. "Why?" "Because I want to break up with you. Michelle, I love you and want to introduce you to the whole world," he explained eagerly. "I will definitely make it public on my birthday. Can you wait for me? Wait for you to make my brother and me the laughingstock on that day. I'm sorry. I've made you suffer these years. Michelle, trust me, I love you. But the Aubrey who loves me, how could he trample on my heart so cruelly?" When I got back home in the evening, I received a text message from Sabrina. "Love you. You don't really believe that, do you? As long as I want. He can only be my man." She attached a photo of them lying in the same bed. The day before I left, Aubrey repeatedly confirmed the process of the birthday party with me. "You don't know how happy I am. But you're going to be disappointed. I won't be at the scene tomorrow." He didn't notice my distraction and interlaced his fingers with mine one by one. "Baby, I've thought about our future." "I haven't thought about it." He lowered his eyes. "I started thinking about it when I was chasing you 5 years ago. So, this was indeed a long-planned revenge. You were really aloof at that time. No matter how I chased you, you wouldn't be moved," he said in a hoarse voice, as if recalling the past. "There were so many people chasing you. Sometimes I was afraid that you would agree to someone else, and I would lose my chance. Fortunately, you noticed me. Thank you for choosing me. Michelle, I dream of marrying you." "Aubrey, you're too immersed in the act. Don't deceive yourself." For dinner, he wanted to cook by himself. I opened my phone and sorted out various recordings, photos, and other evidence from this period. He called me from the kitchen. "Michelle, come and have a taste." He held a soup spoon in his hand and had an expectant smile on his face. Before I could get up, his phone rang. When he came out, he had already taken off his apron and said in a hurry, "My sister had a car accident. I'm going to check on her." Before leaving, he turned back and touched my face. "Can you have dinner by yourself?" "Yes." He bent down and kissed my forehead, his eyes full of doting. "Baby, you're so good today. I have to be good. Otherwise how can I send him away and clean up my traces?" After he left, I called the cleaner and threw away one by one the things in the room that belonged to me. The cleaner was very responsible, and in the end, not even a single hair was left. I felt a great sense of relief. But Sabrina sent me a text message. She just scraped her hand a little. "He was so worried." "Does he treat you like that too?" In the video, Aubrey carefully applied medicine to her hand, afraid that she would feel pain. He even blew on it tenderly. I smiled. If it was any later, the wound would have healed already. After coming back from Aubrey's house, I sorted out the gifts he gave me and found a courier to send them to the location of his birthday party. They will be received tomorrow. We were going to take a private jet at dawn. When the clock pointed to 10 o'clock, Aubrey called me drunk. "Michelle, I really want to see you." I handed my luggage to my brother. "Take it for me first. I'll deal with something and then come to you." "What's the matter?" "Something that's not important but needs to be done." Aubrey was lying on the sofa. In the dim light, his eyelashes fluttered slightly. As soon as I got closer, he hugged my waist. He rubbed against me like a puppy. He mumbled, "Baby," and "wife," vaguely. He said a lot of things intermittently, mainly about what surprises there would be tomorrow, how much he loved me, and how he wanted to marry me. He was drunk, but he was still acting. I pulled my hand away, feeling nothing in my heart. After he quieted down, I took out his phone and unlocked it with his fingerprint. When I opened the photo album, I was stunned. There were more than 1,000 photos, and half of them were about Sabrina, especially during the 2 years when he was chasing me. He came to me to get my attention. At the same time, he ran to Sabrina to curry favor with her. He took her to see the maple leaves, watch the sunset, and stroll along the romantic streets of France. He took many photos of her back. Even those gifts that I thought he had carefully selected for me were things that Sabrina didn't like and casually gave to me. I thought I would be angry, sad, or angry, but unexpectedly, I was very calm. I looked at each photo one by one and recorded the screen with my phone. Then I found the only 3 photos of us. The first one was taken when I agreed to be his girlfriend. He took a close photo with me and said that he had finally achieved his wish. The second one was when he helped me celebrate my birthday for the first time. I made a wish in front of the cake. That day, almost at dawn, he whistled downstairs of my house. I opened the window and looked down from the second floor, and I saw him with a strong sense of guilt. We ran away in the midnight of early summer and made the first birthday wish. The third one was taken when we watched the meteor shower last time. He hugged me in his arms and took a photo under the starry sky. He said that the person beside him was the one he loved the most. I didn't hesitate to delete them and even emptied the recycle bin. When I opened the social media app, Sabrina was at the top of his chat list, and my chat window was set to do not disturb. I deleted all the chat records expressionlessly. Now his phone was spotless, without the slightest trace of my existence. I finally understood the advantage of a secret relationship. Even when we part ways, it can be done quietly. When I was about to lock the screen, on a whim, I clicked on his memo. It was densely packed with Sabrina's preferences recorded in it. 3 years ago, he wrote, "I'm not willing to be just your younger brother. Sabrina, why can't you look back at me? Since you're so heartless, then I'll be with someone else." There was no such thing as being willing and infatuatedly chasing after someone. I was just a second-best choice, just a part of their relationship. I took a photo and put the phone back beside him. When I got up to leave, Aubrey grabbed my wrist. "Michelle, don't go." He was talking in his sleep. I pulled away from him. "Goodbye forever." "Aubrey," he mumbled. "Michelle, will you marry me?" I suddenly remembered that in the 3rd year of our relationship, I went to City H with Aubrey without telling my brother. At Victoria Harbor, the fireworks were brightly blooming. He held me in his arms and expressed his love. "Michelle, I like you so much." We were really young then, and we were deeply in love then. I said, "Aubrey, swear that you'll never deceive me, or I'll definitely leave you." He held my face in his hands. "I don't even have enough time to dote on you. How could I deceive you?" What great acting skills. Before leaving, I took one last look at Aubrey's house. After making sure that there was nothing belonging to me left, I closed the door. Then, I deleted all his contact information. The moment I stepped onto the plane, it seemed that all my emotions disappeared with the rumbling sound of takeoff. Love and hate were just small episodes in life. It really didn't matter. Everyone would fall in love with the wrong person, shed tears for no apparent reason, and suddenly break down. But it didn't stop us from enjoying the sunset and the breeze. Ending a failed relationship was a compulsory course on the path of growth. Everything would pass, and it could be regarded as enriching our experiences. I smiled with relief. I turned to my brother and said, "Before the arranged marriage, I want to meet Fabian alone." In fact, a long time ago, my parents said that we should meet, but at that time, I was busy with my studies and had been entangled with Aubrey for all these years. So I didn't think about it. When I came to City H to study 5 years ago, I also politely refused the Fabian family's offer to take care of me. I wanted to learn to be independent by myself. The last time I met Fabian was when I was 15 years old. His family came back to offer sacrifices to their ancestors, and we played together for a summer vacation. After that, we lost touch. My brother said that I could rest assured that with his character, he would definitely not let me be wronged after marriage. But since I agreed to the arranged marriage, I thought I should be honest about my past relationships, and also tell him that my heart has been rebuilt now, and the wounds have healed. I have already gotten rid of those unimportant people and will be loyal to the marriage. Of course, if he minds, it doesn't matter either. After all, nothing has been finalized yet. After listening, Fabian's eyebrows twitched slightly. His eyes rested quietly on me, and there was a smile on his lips. We're 27 years old. It's normal to have been in a relationship. Then he said, Michelle, there is no precedent of divorce in the Fabian family. If the man cheats or is two-faced after marriage, the woman can confiscate all of the man's property. Ah. He looked at me, and the corners of his thin lips curled up slightly. So once you agree to marry me, you can't go back on your word. My fingers curled inward, and I raised my eyes and met his. Then what if you meet a girl you really like after marrying me? Fabian's gentle voice carried an unwavering firmness. Michelle, there is no such possibility. From now on until we grow old and die, I will only be devoted to you. My face felt a little hot. He smiled and stood up, extending his hand towards me. Then let's get to know each other again. Classmate Michelle. Michelle's phone still couldn't be reached. Aubrey looked annoyed, with his eyebrows furrowed tightly. He took a sharp drag on his cigarette and turned his head to look at the carefully prepared birthday party. He had someone draw Michelle's profile and placed it in the most prominent position. She could see it as soon as she came. In addition to this, there were many other ritualistic links that he had put a lot of thought into. It was very lively inside, but the person he wanted to see wasn't there. In fact, when he woke up, he vaguely felt that something was wrong. Every year on his birthday, Michelle would be the first to send a message at the stroke of midnight, or she would secretly come to meet him, even if just for a glance. She would smile with her eyes curved. It's my boyfriend's birthday, so of course I have to be the first to send my blessings. But last night, Michelle didn't stay with him. The next morning, he didn't receive any message from her either. He opened his phone, wanting to find her contact information, but was flooded with a flood of congratulatory messages. It immediately disrupted his train of thought. Aubrey comforted himself that maybe she was already on her way. As time passed by minute, Michelle still didn't come. He gradually became agitated and tugged at his tie. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside the door. He immediately walked towards the door, wanting to hold her hand. But it was Sabrina. Why are you here? He couldn't hide his disappointment. Sabrina's smile froze on her face, and then she asked reluctantly, so who were you expecting? Michelle. He only wanted Michelle. During this period, he always felt that Michelle was a bit strange. In the past, when they met, she couldn't wait to cling to him. It was said that only with physical attraction would one want to be affectionate and stick to their boyfriend all the time, to be glued to each other. But ever since Sabrina came back, she had changed. She became quiet and silent, and she wouldn't take the initiative to be intimate with him either. Sometimes when Aubrey looked at her, he felt that there seemed to be a great distance between them. What on earth was going on? He couldn't figure it out. But one thing was certain. He really wanted to make their relationship public. He remembered the way Michelle cried in his arms sadly. His heart ached. It turned out that he didn't want her to be wronged at all. Many times when he had nightmares, he dreamed that he embarrassed her at the birthday party. She was at a loss, and then she broke down and cried, gritting her teeth and asking him why he treated her like that and what she had done wrong. His breathing became rapid, and he wanted to explain, but she looked at him coldly and said, Aubrey, let's break up. You make me feel disgusted. Then he woke up with a start, his back soaked in sweat. He really intended to propose today. He had even prepared the wedding dress. Hundreds of designers worked day and night for half a year to complete it. He smiled self-deprecatingly. If he really wanted to humiliate her, how could he unconsciously prepare surprises to make her happy? After sending Sabrina to the hospital last night, He was about to leave. Michelle was still waiting for him at home. Sabrina grabbed him. "Do you like Michelle?" His eyebrows twitched slightly. Sabrina stood up, trying to hide it from me. "I can tell." He suddenly laughed. So she could tell that he liked her. Then could he also tell? Would he not object to Michelle being with him anymore? He said, "Yes, I love her." Sabrina clenched her lips. "Really?" Aubrey laughed. And then, as if remembering something, he said, "Sis, I'm sorry for what happened before. I couldn't tell whether my feelings for you were those of a family member or a lover. Of course, I also want to thank you for rejecting me, which allowed me to find the person I truly like." After saying that, he answered a call from a friend and left. He didn't notice the indignant expression on Sabrina's face behind him. He didn't want to play this game anymore. To hell with revenge. To hell with being humiliated. He just wanted to be with Michelle. He wanted to propose, get married, and have her belong to him alone. Fortunately, it wasn't too late. Fortunately, Michelle didn't know about his previous despicable plan and his dark thoughts. No one would mention it again. He had seen his own heart clearly. He loved Michelle, even though he had chased her at first because of revenge. But he had also gradually fallen in love with her during these 3 years. He thought that he would definitely give Michelle the happiest future to make up for the unsightly beginning of their relationship. So he couldn't help but find her profile picture. But he found that all their chat records were gone. The unease intensified. Aubrey panicked. He sent a "baby" message. And then he saw the big red exclamation mark. Michelle had deleted him. I, who had deleted Aubrey, was preparing for the wedding. Actually, I was supposed to get engaged to Fabian first and then gradually develop our relationship. But the two families took our birth dates to a master for divination. The master said that we were a perfect match, destined to be together for 3 lifetimes. He praised us extravagantly and then picked an auspicious day. He urged us to get married as soon as possible. I was pushed into it. I tried on dozens of wedding dresses in one day. But strangely, every single one fit me perfectly. I couldn't make a choice. Fabian smiled. "Then shall we keep them all? After all, they were all customized for you." Just then, the wedding planner was brought in by the servant. The topic was changed. After looking at countless planning proposals and catching my breath, it was already afternoon. Fabian lifted me up from the sofa. "Be good. You can sleep when we get back. Let's go and get the marriage certificate first." So soon. He took my hand. It was calculated by the master. The marriage registration process in City H was a bit different from that on the mainland. Under the guidance of a lawyer, we took an oath to each other and exchanged rings. The ring was prepared by Fabian long ago, and it fit perfectly. After signing the marriage certificate, his 2 friends signed as witnesses. The seal was firmly stamped on the paper, and everyone started clapping. My big family and their big family squeezed together to take a group photo. The sense of ritual was overwhelming. It turned out that in a relationship blessed by everyone, one could smile so happily. It turned out that walking in the sunlight with one's significant other felt like this. That night, I posted a status on Moments. "I'm officially on the job now." Immediately, a lot of messages popped up in the comment section. "Stop showing off. Sis, what certificate did you get this time? You're blind. It says a harmonious union lasting 100 years and everlasting love and unity. This is a marriage certificate. It's from City H. Michelle, are you getting married so far away?" "Oh, I can't live anymore. How could my goddess get married?" "Who is the groom?" I asked my mom. She said that the news is currently blocked. But my family has already received an invitation from Aubrey's family. The wedding is next month. The marriage certificate was quickly passed around in Aubrey's circle. His friend clicked on the picture and joked, "So that's why you've been missing for so long. You went to City H with Michelle to get the marriage certificate. That's quite romantic." Aubrey's hand holding the cigarette trembled. The scarlet embers burned his fingertips. But he didn't feel the pain. "What did you say?" He snatched the phone and stared fixedly at the screen. His knuckles turned white from the force. The friend suddenly realized, "Michelle didn't get married to you." Before he could finish his sentence, Aubrey had already left in a panic. I was also quite flustered. In the evening, the Fabian family prepared a banquet. Fabian held my hand and introduced his relatives to me one by one. "You know, when I was a child, the thing I was most afraid of was being taken by my parents and being asked, Do you know what to call them? I was at a loss and could only stay close to Fabian. Everyone in the Fabian family was very nice. Every time I called someone, they would give me a gift for meeting me. But there were so many people. Later, it was Fabian who hugged my waist tightly and let me lean on him, taking most of my weight, so that I could finish meeting everyone. Looking at the smiles on everyone's faces, I thought this was also good. Treating each other with respect. Wasn't marriage like this? After the passion, there would be the plain and steady flow of life. Both families approved. And Fabian wouldn't deceive me, let me down, or make me feel wronged. I could also continue my studies and research. After it was over, I leaned on the sofa, almost unable to keep my eyes open. Fabian even took out the list of betrothal gifts for me to look at. As I was looking at it, the small characters in front of me became distorted and blurred. I accidentally fell asleep like this. So it was Fabian who answered the phone call from Aubrey for me. When Aubrey heard the gentle voice of a man coming through the phone, his mind went blank. He gripped the steering wheel tightly, his hands shaking. Who are you? Where's Michelle? Let her answer the phone. Fabian wasn't as gentle as he seemed on the surface. He had an extremely strong possessive desire. But in order to dispel Michelle's concerns, for fear of scaring her and making her hesitant about the arranged marriage, he pretended that the two of them were just having an arranged marriage for the family. He had been waiting for many years. He didn't want to wait any longer. So he wanted to get married immediately and not give anyone else a chance. He had never told Michelle that he had met Aubrey, and not just once. When he heard that Michelle was coming to City H to study, he only slept a few hours a day, finished his work in New York, and rushed back. But he was still a step too late. He went to her school with a gift, but he saw her walking and chatting and laughing with a man. He clenched his hands tightly, and in the end, he didn't say anything and didn't go up to them either. Many times later, when he went to see her, that man was always there. And in her eyes when she looked at that man, there was a shining light. He had also flown to City B and spied on her from the shadows. They never broke up, and they seemed to be very much in love. So Fabian smiled bitterly and left. He silently blessed Michelle in his heart. He just didn't expect that useless guy didn't hold her hand tightly. Fabian was secretly delighted. Fate had brought the person he liked back to him after all the twists and turns. So in the gentlest tone, he said the words that hurt Aubrey the most. Michelle is asleep in my arms. Oh, let me introduce myself. I'm her legal husband. May I ask? Who are you? I'm her boyfriend. Aubrey blurted out. He hadn't agreed to break up. So Michelle was still his girlfriend. Fabian smiled softly. Sorry, as far as I know, Michelle doesn't have a boyfriend. She only has me as her husband. Aubrey felt like he was going crazy. On the day of the birthday party, he waited alone until the crowd dispersed. When he received the things Michelle sent over, there were several large boxes, all filled with the gifts he had given her. She didn't want them anymore. He dialed her phone number over and over again, but he just couldn't get through. By the early morning, he sat on the ground listlessly and finally realized Michelle didn't want him anymore either. But why on earth? He just couldn't figure it out. When he carried the boxes home, a piece of paper fell out. It said, Aubrey, we're breaking up. It wasn't a negotiation, just a notice. He stumbled back and only realized later that Michelle had cleaned up all the traces of her existence. She was so heartless. She was such a cute and well-behaved girl. Why was she so resolute in what she did? As if remembering something, he turned on his phone and opened the photo album. The photos of Sabrina came into view. He flipped to the end and found that Michelle had deleted all the photos of them together. She had seen the photos of Sabrina he had saved. She had seen those memos. So, she must have misunderstood the relationship between him and Sabrina. Aubrey remembered what Michelle had said before, that if one day she found out he had lied to her, she would disappear without a trace. So she knew everything. So she proved with her actions that she meant what she said. She didn't give him the slightest chance to explain. She sentenced their relationship to death. Aubrey desperately wanted to find Michelle, but he searched all over City B, and no one knew where she had gone. As usual, he whistled a few times downstairs of her house. There was no response. He waited until dawn, but that light hadn't come on for a long time. He also went to City H, but there were no clues at all. More than a month passed, and he got nothing. He suddenly remembered the time capsule they had buried together on the mountain. Despite the heavy rain, he dug through the mud with his bare hands. The capsule was covered in mud. He opened his own capsule, and it said, "May there be no years to look back on, and may we grow old together with deep affection. Aubrey loves Michelle, day and night." And Michelle's capsule was blank. She had never thought about their future. Aubrey could hardly believe his eyes. He clenched the piece of paper tightly, and tears rolled down his face. Without Michelle, his days were muddled. When he learned the news of her marriage, it was like a knife stabbing into his heart. The pain made him almost unable to stand, especially after hearing that it was another man who answered her phone. His heart fell from the sky and shattered into pieces. He couldn't believe that Michelle had really gotten married. She must be angry with him. Right. So he immediately booked a flight to City H. City H wasn't that big, and it was easy to meet someone. But City H wasn't small either, and if someone deliberately wanted to avoid him, he couldn't even find a single hair of Michelle's. Aubrey really couldn't find me. Fabian was afraid that I would be tired, so he didn't even let me go out of the Fabian family's mansion. The record of that phone call was also deleted by him, so I didn't know about it. During the period of preparing for the wedding, Fabian took care of all the arrangements. Half a month passed, and there were still 3 days until the wedding. The Fabian family used a private jet to pick up all my good friends. Fabian was busy running around, taking good care of everything. In the evening, I asked him to go back first because I wanted to have a private chat with my friends. He gave an and then ordered people to send all kinds of food and drinks. Everyone received different small gifts, but he gave me a delicately packaged lunchbox separately. On my phone, there was a message from him. "Drink some warm bird's nest to prevent your stomach from getting cold." He always did things thoughtfully and appropriately, never making people feel disgusted. My friends kept saying good things about him. Now that we know the groom is Fabian, we can rest assured. During the flight, we've already inquired about him from all aspects. He has a good character, a decent family background. He's young and promising, and the most important thing is that he's clean living. The ancestral motto of their family is that those who love their wives will thrive. Anyway, our Michelle will definitely be happy. To be honest, I'm really looking forward to the plot of you falling in love after getting married. You're wrong, sister. I think Fabian looks at Michelle in a special way, and it was so secretive before the wedding. Maybe he's been planning this for a long time. We chattered and laughed until midnight. When I came out of my friend's room, I saw a message from Fabian. He said that he had been downstairs all the time and asked me to call him when I was done so that he could take me home. As soon as I replied, "I'm done," I was pulled to the stairwell by a pair of hands. It was Aubrey. I never expected to meet him here. I shook off his hand quickly like I had seen the god of plague and opened the door to run out. But he grabbed me, and his strength was so great that I couldn't break free. He pressed me against the door, gripping my arm tightly, and complex emotions welled up in his eyes. Finally, he pinched my chin and kissed me without asking. I smashed the lunchbox at him. "Are you crazy?" My back was pressed against the cold wall. Aubrey's gaze fell on the wedding ring on my ring finger. He gritted his teeth tightly and said in a hoarse voice, "Michelle, are you angry with me? Did you just find a fake marriage certificate to stimulate me because you want to punish me for not making our relationship public?" He really had a nerve. I sneered. "I'm really married." He closed his eyes, as if trying his best to control his emotions. "I don't believe it. I can explain my relationship with Sabrina. It's not what you think. I've already made it clear to her that we'll just be siblings from now on. Come back to City B, Michelle. Let's make our relationship public. Okay." Oh, he thought I left just because of Sabrina. Because I was jealous. I smiled quietly, my eyes full of sarcasm. "When you were with me, you were thinking about Sabrina. I'm giving you what you want, and now you come to me again. Aubrey, you really are a masochist. You like people you can't have." His eyes were full of despair, and he trembled. "I like you. Only you. Michelle. I haven't said we're breaking up. So you're still my girlfriend." I pulled the corners of my lips. "Don't you want to break up? Fine. I'll tell you myself. Aubrey, you make me feel disgusted. We're breaking up. Is that enough?" The dream and reality overlapped, and Aubrey's eyes turned red in an instant, and his face turned pale. "No breakup. We've been together for 3 years. You liked me so much. How could you be willing to break up with me?" I was too lazy to argue with him and took a step forward. Think whatever you want. I'm already married. Aubrey hugged me tightly from behind, choking and pleading. Take off the ring. Okay. I'll buy you a new one. I've prepared a wedding dress for you. Let's go back and get married too. Okay. I turned around and slapped him. Don't touch me. He stood there in a daze, his eyes red, almost about to cry. I can't help it. Michelle, I miss you so much. For the past 2 months, I haven't been able to eat or drink well. Every time I close my eyes, I see your face. What should I do without you? Just as he reached out his hand to hug me again, the door of the corridor suddenly opened. A gust of wind blew by, and Fabian punched him in the face. After coming to his senses, Aubrey started to fight back, but he was no match for Fabian at all. This was the first time I saw Fabian so aggressive, which subverted his gentle image in my mind. Aubrey was beaten until the corner of his mouth was bleeding, looking extremely embarrassed. When he got up and raised his fist, I stood in front of Fabian. That's enough, Aubrey. His fist stopped 5 centimeters away from me. I quickly turned my head to check on Fabian. Does it hurt? He nodded pitifully. A bit. Maybe I have an internal injury. Then let's go home quickly and find a doctor. Aubrey looked at me in disbelief, his eyes bloodshot. You're protecting him. I'm clearly the one who's the most hurt. Michelle, are you ignoring me? I said sarcastically. He's my husband. Of course I'm going to protect him. Who are you to me? Fabian took the lunchbox from my hand and took my hand, asking softly, have you finished eating? I nodded. His thin lips parted slightly. Then let's go home. Okay, he added. My whole body hurts. I pulled him and walked out. Let's go back quickly. After opening the door, I didn't even look at Aubrey. He stood there lost in thought. The dim light hid all his expressions. He mumbled to himself, his voice so low that it was almost inaudible. Weren't you the one who cared about me the most? 2 days before the wedding, Fabian and I rehearsed the process. In the evening, after my friends left, we were taking a walk by the river, and he went to buy me a hot drink. As soon as he left, I turned around and saw Aubrey again. There were band-aids on his forehead and the corner of his mouth, looking decadent and embarrassed. It seemed that Fabian really had hit him hard. He walked up to me and said with difficulty, Michelle, I've thought about it. Divorce him. Please divorce. Okay, I don't mind. And I don't look down on you. I'll just pretend that this never happened. Forget everything in City H. And let's start over. I felt like I had heard the biggest joke. I will never divorce unless I die. He seemed not to have heard me, and his tone became cautious. There's really nothing between me and Sabrina. Why can't you believe me? Michelle, we've known each other for 5 years. How long have you known Fabian? 2 months. Is 2 months enough for you to entrust your life to him? Why would you rather choose him than me? I interrupted him. Because he won't lie to me. We were honest with each other and made everything clear. There was no deception, no calculation, and no such thing as an adopted sister. There was only the approval and blessing of our families, even if I don't have a deep affection for him now. But so what? Life is so long. Who can say what will happen in the future? Aubrey, I said before that if I find out about deception, I will leave without hesitation. Stop pestering me. I will never turn back. He stared at me blankly, his eyes full of despair. I saw Fabian walking over quickly and ran towards him first. He gently tucked my hair behind my ear and put his arm around me as we walked towards the car. Out of the corner of my eye, the stray hair on Aubrey's forehead covered his eyes and eyebrows, and his eyes were slightly red. The day before the wedding, Fabian didn't let me go out again. We were looking at his childhood photo album in the study. I pointed at one of the photos and was very surprised. I took a photo with you when I was so young. He was behind me, forming an encircling gesture. Yeah, that year. Your mom was pregnant with you, and my mom took the whole family to visit. I was probably 3 years old at that time. As soon as we got there, you were born. The adults took a photo, and they even arranged a baby betrothal. So early, I couldn't help laughing and crying. I was just a baby. Fabian smiled and flipped through the album. I also came before I started primary school when I was 6. You were very young then, like a white dumpling, pulling me and calling me brother. In the photo, it was the moment when I leaned in and kissed him on the face, which was captured. Looking at that photo, I felt a bit embarrassed. When you were 12, You were obsessed with acting and asked me to play the role of the emperor. And you were the princess. I couldn't help laughing. First you were my brother. And then my father. Fabian. You had a lot of roles. He continued to flip through the album and joked. I came back once when I was 18. You were 15 at that time. You didn't ask me to act with you anymore. Instead, you asked me to take you to play games. Well, I became your buddy. I felt a bit awkward. I was really obsessed with games during that period. My parents restricted me, and my brother wouldn't take me. So I had to ask you. During that summer vacation, I took Fabian to the internet cafe and stayed there for a month. After that, we never saw each other again. I was busy with high school and university, and he was busy with his studies and managing the family business. I thought that the long river of time would leave us on different sides. But unexpectedly, fate tied us together again one day, and we became a family. It was so amazing. Suddenly I remembered what Aubrey had said last night. That why would I entrust my life to Fabian after only knowing him for 2 months? In fact, it wasn't like that. We had known each other for 27 years. Longer than he and I had known each other. I turned my head slightly, and Fabian's breath happened to fall on my ear. There was a hint of ambiguity in the air. I swallowed and quickly turned my head back. Fabian suddenly said, "Michelle, thank you." "For what?" His eyes were gentle. "Thank you for marrying me." On the wedding day, I was so nervous that my palms were sweating. It was Fabian who held my hand all the time and led me through every process. Under the presidence of the priest, we kissed, hugged, and made a vow to be together forever. After the main ceremony ended, I was so tired that I could hardly stand. He carried me to a small room to rest and said softly, "You can sleep for a while." I held on to him. "Where are you going?" He squeezed my fingers. "I'll continue to receive the guests. And also, get rid of the obstacles." I gave in. "Oh," and leaned against the sofa and soon fell asleep. And at this moment, the obstacle was trying to stop the wedding outside the castle. Aubrey was blocked at the door and pleaded with the security guards to let him in, claiming that he was the bride's boyfriend. There were reporters around asking, "Ex-boyfriend? Then I advise you to give up." Handsome guy. The Fabian family is a prominent family in City H. How can you compare with him? Stop daydreaming. It's so embarrassing. Aubrey explained eagerly. "I'm not an ex-boyfriend. We haven't broken up at all." But he searched through his phone and couldn't find any evidence that he had been with Michelle. The crowd burst into laughter. "Dude, do you have delusions? You're not even an ex. You're so funny." Aubrey was on the verge of collapse and almost knelt on the ground. Then he saw Fabian walking towards him with a beaming face. "Let me in," Aubrey shouted. It attracted everyone's attention. But Fabian ignored him and ordered the staff to distribute wedding candies to everyone. The people who received the candies all blessed the newlyweds for a long and happy marriage. Everyone got the candies. Only Aubrey didn't get any. He gritted his teeth so hard that they almost shattered. "Fabian, you took advantage of the situation." Fabian just gave him a casual glance. "It's you who didn't cherish her. So you'll never have a chance again." My wedding with Fabian stayed on the trending searches for a full 3 days. But on our wedding night, nothing happened. Because we were really too tired. Fabian told me about Aubrey's visit. I thought about it. Since the wedding was over for now, then it was time to deal with him next. I'm a study blogger with 2 million followers online. When Aubrey was chasing me back then, I once recorded it. But after we got together, because he didn't want to make it public, I didn't share anything about it either. My followers all knew that there was a guy who had chased me for a long time, but they didn't know exactly who he was. So I posted my wedding photos on my account. My followers were shocked. They didn't expect that a study blogger like me would actually be the leading lady on the trending searches. Then, I posted the chat records, ambiguous photos, and the provocative voice messages between Aubrey and Sabrina. To avoid violating privacy, I pixelated the relevant parts and wrote, "I'm not familiar with someone. Please behave yourself." The Hong Kong media caught wind of it. Although I didn't say that this person was Aubrey, but all kinds of details pointed to him. Especially on the wedding day. He tried to stop the wedding but couldn't produce any evidence. The Hong Kong media released several explosive headlines. Love-obsessed man kneels down. Young master of the Aubrey family tries to steal someone else's wife. Humbly seeking love. Love delusion disorder. Aubrey disrupts Fabian's wedding. The comment section was filled with scolding. Damn. Is that love-obsessed man Aubrey? I'm not mistaken, am I? He chased her for 5 years and even went to stop the wedding. Is he out of his mind? He's like a clown. So disgusting. He has an improper relationship with his adopted sister and still wants to chase someone else. The blogger must have done something bad in her previous life to be liked by him. Don't just scold the man. That Sabrina is not innocent either. She seduced her own adopted brother. If I were Aubrey's mother, I'd be so angry that I'd get a heart attack. Yeah, the point is that when she saw that her brother had a girl he liked, she sent provocative messages. It's really disgusting. Okay, I wonder what Aubrey's parents will do when they find out about the improper relationship between their adopted daughter and their son. Didn't Aubrey want to make my brother and me the laughingstock? Now, it's him and Sabrina who have become the laughingstock. The shame is theirs. The public opinion kept fermenting, and the Aubrey family couldn't suppress it no matter what. I asked Fabian, was it you? He nodded and said calmly, yeah, I couldn't help laughing. You're so scheming. He raised his eyebrows and the corners of his mouth turned up. He deserves it. My brother only learned about this matter then and said to me angrily, why didn't you tell me? I'll go and teach him a lesson. Time had passed, and I told him everything. He was silent for a moment. I thought he was going to scold me, but unexpectedly, he frowned and asked, Sabrina confessed to me. He took revenge on me for her. But, who is Sabrina? I suddenly laughed. My brother looked confused. I was so handsome before. There were too many people who confessed to me. How could I remember her? Aubrey hates me. Do I even know him? After all this, it turned out that Aubrey and Sabrina wanted to take revenge on my brother. But my brother didn't even remember these two people at all. It was so ridiculous. But with this reminder, he reacted. That bastard. How dare he bully my sister? He won't have an easy time in City B from now on. He immediately made several phone calls. Don't accept any cooperation with the Aubrey family from now on. Do everything possible to take over all their projects. Let him really see what a sworn enemy is. Oops. Now Aubrey had really shot himself in the foot. Before the new semester started, I took Fabian back to City B. I also invited my friends out for a gathering by the way. Halfway through, I went to the terrace to get some fresh air. And unexpectedly, I saw Aubrey again. During this period, I heard that the Aubrey family wasn't having a smooth time. The stock price kept dropping, and the Aubrey family was in a mess. They even terminated the adoption relationship with Sabrina and issued a statement that they wouldn't allow their former adopted daughter to marry into the family. Sabrina had tried so hard but ended up with nothing. And the projects that Aubrey was in charge of were also rejected by many companies due to the negative public opinion. I also heard that he was beaten up with his head covered. The day he was beaten, my brother whistled and called me 800 times, just laughing and not saying anything. Now, seeing Aubrey's haggard and pale face, all I could say was that he deserved it. But he walked towards me, the corners of his eyes slightly red. I didn't know that Sabrina would provoke you. I'm sorry. I disappointed you during that time. I'm sorry. But Michelle, I really didn't have anything happen with her. Is it really unforgivable? I glanced at him. Aubrey, you provoked me when you loved her. After being with me, you were still unwilling to let her go. Finally, you'll be just like her, unable to hold on to anything. His lips trembled, and he pointed to the position of his heart with his finger. I only like you firmly now. I said indifferently, if Sabrina comes to you, will you turn back? He shook his head painfully. No, I'll never do that. I raised the corners of my lips. Well, I'm the same as you. If you come to me, I won't turn back either. I think you should understand how I feel now. Right. You don't want to continue the wrong relationship. And I'm also impossible to choose to come back to you. Tears slowly streamed down his face. But during the 5 years when I liked you, I also gave my sincere heart. Why do you have to take revenge and make me lose everything? I looked at him with cold eyes. Because I heard your conversation with someone else. Since you started chasing me, it was all a hoax. Can a liar have a sincere heart? You also wanted to embarrass me at the birthday party. I'm just treating you the way you treated me. Why can't you stand it? He was shocked. He mumbled for a long time and then smiled bitterly. So this is how it feels to be tricked and retaliated against by the person you love. He raised his head again, with a hint of hope in his eyes. You want to embarrass me so much. Does that mean you still care about me? Michelle, do I still have a chance? I raised the ring on my hand. The whole world knows that I'm married. I will never divorce. Later, Aubrey rummaged through all the trash cans. But no matter how much he searched through his phone, he couldn't find any evidence that we had been together. He actually found something. It was the eternal flower that I made with my own hands. Now it was in a terrible state. I took it and threw it into the turbulent river. Then I walked past him and towards Fabian. Flowers naturally bloom towards the sun, and people should move forward. Time goes in circles. I'm going to embrace the next sunny day with the person in front of me. The end of the full text.